And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? This is Thursday. We're coming down to the wire. We've got a great show planned for you today. You don't want to leave. We've got just some fantastic things going on. But first off, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's time for the weather. Well, it's 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 100 degrees. So it's hot, but it's beautiful outside. It's just really, really nice. You know what? We'll continue to give you the weather on all the different locations of our syndicated global cast that's going on. But first off, I want you to know that on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and our new segment, the tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey, and the rest of the story. Now, the story today for Paul is going to be Little Book Lost. I'll tell you all about that a little later on the show. And then we'll have Sean LaFave. Sean and I are going to be talking about healthcare on his Geared for Wellness Corner. We've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure that there's plenty there for us. But first off, I want to talk to you about the 10 things that you need to know today that are actually in the news. So you can talk to your friends and your associates, your neighbors, that kind of stuff, and they'll know that you know what's going on. We've encapsulated it, and then we'll get to a little bit more in depth a little bit later on. These are the 10 things that you need to know for Thursday. Your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that are going to be talked about all day today and probably tomorrow as well. The first up is Trump is placing a risky bet in the quest for the White House. He's doubling down on the proposition that his brand of fiery propulsion gives him a better shot at the presidency than uniting his party and rallying moderate voters. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what? It hit hard. It hit fast. A ferocious wildfire in Southern California races up and down canyon hillsides, instantly engulfing homes, forcing thousands of people to flee. And that's only, it's been going now for about 3 or 4 days, and it's only 4% contained. It's a bad one. And flood brings housing crisis to Louisiana. With an estimated 40,000 homes damaged by high water, the state could be facing its biggest housing crunch since the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina that was a decade ago. Well, what's sure to enrage Pyongyang? Well, a senior North Korean diplomat based in London defects to South Korea, becoming one of the highest northern officials to do exactly that. And major companies rush to update defenses against hackers. The leak of what purports to be a national security agency hacking tool kit has set the information security world at Twitter. And blaze aboard a cruise ship forces evacuations. 500 passengers and crew are hustled off the Caribbean Fantasy near Puerto Rico after fuel from a broken hose catches fire. And a big flying bum sent aloft for the first time. A blimp-shaped, helium-filled airship, considered the world's largest aircraft, takes a short but historic jaunt over an airfield in central England. Well, why more people are leaving their bodies to science? The trend is attributed to rising funeral costs and growing acceptance of a practice long seen by some as ghoulish. Well, Arthur Hiller dies at age 92. The director received an Oscar nomination for the hugely popularly romantic tragedy Love Story during a career that spanned dozens of popular movies and TV shows. And then finally, who's looking like their old selves? Ending a stretch of 3 close games, the U.S. men's basketball team powers into the semifinals of the Olympics, beating Argentina 105-78. Hallelujah, brother. We've come back. Well, let's talk about a little bit more in-depth news, and we got to talk about income inequality and why it matters. The rich keep getting richer while more Americans are getting left behind financially. Income inequality has surged near levels last seen before the Great Depression. The average income for the top 1% of households climbed 7.7% last year to $1.36 million, according to tax data tracked by Emmanuel Sayes, an economics professor at the University of California at Berkeley. that privileged sliver of the population saw pay climb at almost twice the rate of income growth for the other 99%, whose pay averaged a humble $48,768. Big disparity there. But why care how much the wealthy are making? What counts the most to the family is how much the family is bringing in, and that goes to the heart of the income inequality debate. Most Americans still have yet to recover from the Great Recession, even though the downturn ended 7 years ago. The average income for the 99% is still lower than it was back in 1998 after adjusting for inflation. Meanwhile, incomes for the executives, bankers, hedge fund managers, entertainers, and doctors who make up that top 1% have steadily improved. These 1%ers account for roughly 22% of all personal income, more than double the post-World War II era level of roughly 10%. One reason the income disparity is troubling for the nation is that it's thinning out the ranks of the middle class. Well, where do they stand? Hillary Clinton has highlighted inequality in multiple speeches, with her positions evolving somewhat over the past year. Now, Bernie Sanders held her feet to the fire on that subject in the primaries. Clinton hopes to redirect more money to the middle class and impoverished. Clinton would raise taxes on the wealthy, increase the federal minimum wage, boost infrastructure spending, provide universal pre-K, and offer the prospect of tuition-free college. Donald Trump offers a blunter message about the hollowed out middle class and a symptom rigged against average Americans. Still, he has yet to emphasize income inequality in the campaign. To bring back the factory jobs long associated with the rise of the middle class, Trump has promised new trade deals and infrastructure spending. But Trump has also proposed a tax plan that would allow the wealthiest Americans to keep more of their earnings. Well, why it matters? Well, President Barack Obama has called rising inequality the defining challenge of our time, and experts warn that it may be slowing overall economic growth. Greater inequality has created a festering distrust of government and of corporate leaders whose promises of better times ahead never fully materialized. The result has been a backlash against globalization that many Americans feel tilted the economy against them. For the top 1%, the ability to move money overseas and reach markets worldwide concentrated pay for superstars, according to economists. At the same time, factory workers now compete with 3 billion people in China, India, Eastern Europe, and elsewhere who weren't working for multinational corporations 20 years ago. Many now make products for Apple, Intel, General Motors, and others at low wages. This has depressed middle-class pay. These trends have contributed to a hollowed-out labor market in the United States, with more jobs at the higher and lower ends of the pay scale and fewer in the middle. And that, my friends, is the problem. Now, don't go away. We've got more news for you. We're going to talk to you about, let's see here. We're going to talk to you about what the Brazilian police are saying about Latke. The U.S. swimmers were not robbed. Well, I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. I don't know why they would do that, but we'll talk about it.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. But before that, I want you to know that at 3:12 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 100 degrees, and it's on its way to 66. Can't hardly wait for that to happen. But let's talk about the news. You know what? Brazilian police are saying that Lotke and the U.S. swimmers were not robbed. Yep. You know why? Brazilian police said today that swimmer Ryan Lotke and U.S. teammates were not robbed after a night of partying, and that the intoxicated athletes instead vandalized a gas station bathroom and were questioned by armed guards before they paid for the damage and left. The robbery that was or wasn't has become the biggest spectacle outside of the Olympic venues in Rio, and given American Olympians a black eye in Brazil after an otherwise remarkable run at the Summer Games. The ordeal was also a blow to Brazilians who for months endured scrutiny about whether a city that has long had problems with violence would be able to keep athletes and tourists safe. No robbery was committed against these athletes. They were not victims of the crimes that they claimed, Civil Police Chief Fernando Veloso said during an afternoon news conference. But the police account raised questions about whether it's possible Lotke and swimmers believe they were victims of a robbery. Lotke's attorney has maintained that one took place and insisted the swimmer had nothing to gain by making the story up. He, as well as Lotke's father and agent, did not return phone calls seeking a comment. The swimmers could potentially face punishment, probation, suspension, a fine, or expulsion under USA Swimming Code of Conduct, which prohibits dishonesty or fraud. It was not immediately clear if the organization planned to act. It was also not clear if the swimmers would face criminal charges. Wow. Can you imagine? Why on earth? It just boggles my mind, at that level, that stature, who they're representing, and they get intoxicated and cause damage, if that's the case. Well, Trump makes the first battleground state ad buys. A new brain trust in place. Donald Trump today moved to invest nearly $5 million in battleground state advertising as the Republican presidential contender took modest steps to address daunting challenges in the states that will make or break his White House ambitions. The New York businessman's campaign reserved television ad space over the coming 10 days in Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, according to Kantar Media's political ad tracker. While Democrat Hillary Clinton has spent more than $75 million on advertising in 10 states since locking up her party's nomination. Trump's new investment marks his first of a general election season. Well, Election Day is 81 days away, with early voting in the first state set to begin in 5 weeks. The step into swing state advertising, which came after Trump's second staffing shakeup in as many months, did little to alleviate the concerns of Republican officials, illustrated with Trump's refusal to adopt the tools of modern-day political campaigns. We may have reached the point of no return for Donald Trump, said Republican strategist Alex Conant, a senior aide to Florida Senator Marco Rubio's presidential campaign. Earlier in the week, the Republican nominee tapped a combative conservative media executive, Stephen Bannon, to serve as CEO of his presidential bid. Republican pollster Kellyanne Conway filled the campaign manager position, left vacant since Trump fired his former campaign chief almost 2 months ago. Conway insisted today that the new team would help refocus the nominee without sacrificing the authenticity that fueled his successful primary campaign. Well, you know what? I think it's Trump wants to be Trump. Trump's gonna be Trump, and nothing you can do is gonna stop it. And Clinton's foundation to alter donations policy if elected. Yeah, I guess. Hillary Clinton's family foundation will no longer accept foreign and corporate donations if she's elected president, and will bring to an end to its annual Clinton Global Initiative meeting regardless of the outcome of the November election. Former President Bill Clinton made the announcement at an afternoon meeting with foundation staff members, according to participants who spoke to the Associated Press. Yep, on condition of anonymity ahead of the formal announcement. Bill Clinton said that the foundation plans to continue its work, but intends to refocus its efforts on a process that will take up to a year to complete. He said he will resign from the board, and the foundation will only accept contributions from U.S. citizens and independent charities. It will no longer take money from any foreign entity, government, foreign or domestic corporations, or corporate charities. You know what? Something smells. I'm not sure what it is, but something certainly smells. Well, you know what? The United States says that $400 million to Iran was contingent on the release of prisoners. The Obama administration said today that $400 million cash payment to Iran 7 months ago was contingent on the release of the group of American prisoners. Now, it is the first time the United States has so clearly linked the two events, which critics have painted as a hostage ransom arrangement. Kind of sounds like it to me. State Department spokesman John Kirby repeated the administration's line that the negotiations to return the Iranian money from a military equipment deal with the United States-backed Shah in the 1970s were conducted separately from the talks to free 4 U.S. citizens in Iran. But he said the U.S. withheld the delivery of the cash as leverage until Iran permitted the Americans to leave the country. Doesn't it sounds like the payment of ransom to me? No matter what else you have to say, it's just horrible. Well, you know what? That kind of takes care of our news for today. What we're going to wind up doing is we're going to take a short break. When we come back from this break, we're going to deal with the IRS loses. And the first case up there is a case that the IRS actually conceded. It's an IRA rollover deadline that was actually extended for a widow. I'll explain the reasons for that right after these brief messages. So don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently still 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 100 on its way to 66. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 83 degrees, sunny and clear. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it's 96 degrees and mostly cloudy. Wow. That's going to be hot and probably humid when you start talking about that. Well, you know what? It's time for us to do one of my favorite parts of the show, and that is the IRS loses. So you know what? Let's get right to it.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, so you know what? Everybody loves to hear about the IRS losing. Nobody wants to hear about them winning. Just kind of makes your day, doesn't it? Does mine. Let's get right to it. This is the first case here is the IRS conceded a case. It says that an IRA rollover deadline was extended for a widow. So it sounds a little strange, but here's the case. An individual actually died, and his financially unsophisticated widow inherited his balance in his employer's qualified retirement plan. Now, the plan's manager sent her a check for the full amount, but gave her no advice regarding what to do with it, nor any explanation of applicable tax rules. So she put the money into a regular bank account. She didn't learn of the rules for rolling the funds into an IRA until she talked to an accountant after the 60-day rollover deadline had actually passed. Well, this is what the IRS's ruling was. The widow's failure to make a rollover was due to reasonable cause beyond her control. So the deadline is waived and she can make the rollover, which saves her the tax on that, which is the way it should be. And sometimes I'm very surprised the IRS winds up being reasonable. That's something that I'm accustomed to from them anyway. Well, here's the case that's going to please you. The IRS lost. Levy is stopped for trying to collect extra tax. You know what? Brad Clark reached an installment agreement for his 1999 tax bill, but the IRS added $222 to the bill that it said he owed for 2004. Now, Clark believed he was owed a refund for 2004, so he refused to sign. Because he didn't sign, the IRS moved a levy against him to collect the 1999 tax and kept his 2005 refund to pay the 2004 tax. Clark protested the levy of that 1999 tax on which he had already been making payments by the terms of the installment agreement. But the IRS appeal said that since the levy was not collecting the 2004 tax, it would not consider the 2004 tax bill at all. Clark went to tax court to get some justice. This is what the decision was from the justices. Taking the 2005 refund for the unproved 2004 tax bill was clearly improper, so appeals hadn't followed the law. Clark gets a new appeals hearing, and the levy is stopped until that time. You know what? The IRS, they just try to take shortcuts and flex their muscles, and they don't really care about the little guy. It seems to me that, since the IRS was created by Congress, and only Congress has the authority to levy and collect taxes, that they work for us. I don't understand why we let them get away with this stuff. Well, here's another case the IRS lost. Being in jail does not disqualify a mother for earned income credit. Here's the deal. Cynthia Rowe lived with her children until the beginning of June, after which she was incarcerated in jail for the rest of the year. Now, she claimed the earned income credit, but the IRS said that she was ineligible for it because she hadn't lived with the children for more than half the year. Now, she protested, went to tax court. This is what the judge said. Rowe never changed her permanent residence, and her time away from it while incarcerated was only temporary. So she continues to meet the residence requirement and can claim that earned income credit. That's, you know what? Doesn't that just make sense? Let's just ruin everybody's life because the IRS has the power to at least give it a try, whether that be right or wrong. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS, very much like the Twilight Zone. Okay, so these are not actual tax court cases, but these are precedents and things that the IRS has actually done that can help you if you're aware of what's going on. And obviously, I don't have an awful lot of respect for the majority of what the IRS does. I think they exceed their authority most of the time. Let me tell you one thing, and that is there's a pitfall in making a deal with the IRS. The IRS and the taxpayer are generally bound to the terms of a settlement that they reach to resolve a tax controversy. Now, this includes offers in compromise and qualified settlement agreements, but there's a downside to this. What if you make an offer to settle that the IRS accepts and then discover that you failed to take advantage of a net operating loss carryover or a deduction that you were entitled to? Unless the IRS agrees to amend the terms of the contract, and that's really unlikely, you're just out of luck. So there's a downside to doing these things. So just know that if you get caught on the wrong side of it, you're going to be staying on the wrong side of it. Let me give you one more. Is your tax return being prepared in India? You think not? Think again. Some tax practitioners, including CPA firms, are outsourcing the preparation of income tax returns to countries offering cheap labor. Now, India is often used when the returns are done this way. The tax practitioner signing the return still has primary responsibility for the accuracy of the return. But there's some risk here. Your private financial information is being transmitted to a developing country where the risk of identity theft is absolutely increased. Now, the best bet here is ask your tax advisor where your return is going to be prepared this year and act accordingly. You know what? If you're paying good money, and I don't know about any bad money, but if you're paying good money to somebody, a professional, to prepare your taxes, then you need to insist that they prepare your taxes. You don't want it sent off, so you ask them. Are you going to prepare my taxes, or are you going to send them overseas to be done with cheap labor? Because if that's the case, I'm not paying you one red dime. I'm not letting you do this. I'm paying big money to have you do it and do it right and have the satisfaction of knowing that all of my private information is going to be protected. That's the way you want to look at that. That's the way you want to make sure that things are done. Do not let your personal private information go overseas. We're talking about your name, your address, your social security number, your date of birth, where you work, where you bank, even your account numbers. You really want somebody in a developing third world country to have that? Gosh, I don't really think so. Now, do not go away, because waiting on the line in some place called Wichita, Kansas is our good buddy Sean Lefebvre. And Sean and I are going to be talking about healthcare, I think. I'm not really sure. But basically, when we get back, both he and I will find out what we're going to talk about for the next hour. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Sean Lefebvre in the Geared for Wellness Corner.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean Lefebvre, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:35 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently still 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 100 degrees on its way to 64 degrees. And if you're listening to us from the shores of Torrance, California, well, it's 77 degrees and it is clear and sunny. And if you're in that place called Wichita, Kansas, well, it's 85 degrees and partly cloudy. And you know what? You may not be in Kansas anymore after we start talking to our good buddy Sean LaFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, you out there?
I am, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like 85. It feels a lot hotter than that, but I'll take it. It's not horrible. So, I gotta tell you what I did today. Like I said before, I got this great big black car, and I had leftovers that I took to work today. About an hour before I wanted to go eat, I had my leftovers wrapped in aluminum foil, and I hate using the microwave, right? Mm-hmm. Because microwave just not good for your food. But so I took my food and I stuck it on the dashboard of my car, and then I came back about 45 minutes later. It was perfectly warmed up. It was nice and ready to eat. True story. I swear.
You know what? I'm not questioning that at all. I absolutely believe that that's a true story. Cause it's got, years ago when I was a kid, I had a black car and, well, I've had them since then too, but you're right. For some reason, boy, that black just absorbs that heat and that sunlight and it just, it's like an oven inside. It can, it could be 85 outside and 150 inside. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, so we're still regretting having that car. It's a great car. I love it, but geez, man, it gets so hot this summer.
But you know what? You ever see anything more elegant than a black car? I mean, nice, polished, clean black car. They're just, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, there's nothing more sexy than a highly polished, scratch-free black. That's the only problem with black is they show every single imperfection. But boy, when they're brand new and they're polished and they're shiny, they are sexy. There's nothing better looking than a black car.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic. So listen, I was wondering if you got big plans for this weekend. Are you going to be barbecuing? Are you looking for a heat wave coming out that way?
No, it's supposed to be in the 70s this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I think we're supposed to get rain on Saturday, but Sunday it's supposed to be sunny and like 75 or something like 78 or 77 or something like that. It's supposed to be mid to upper 70s. So yeah, Sunday, no matter what, I'm going to get outside and do something. I'm not sure exactly what. I may go hang out at my buddy's place out at, he's got that airport out in Denton, Kansas. And I just love hanging out there. I'm hoping that on Sunday he'll have some free time. You can go out there and hang out with him.
And barbecued spare ribs and some IPA beer would be fantastic.
I agree. Yep, absolutely.
Ice cold. Sweating through the glass.
Yep, exactly.
Frosty.
Yep. Sounds delicious. Why, man? Let's go do it right now. What are we talking on the show?
Yeah, I don't know.
Get out of here. Why are we still on the radio?
I don't know. I'm starting to think the same thing. Hey, listen. So I was kind of wondering if either one of us knows what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, I'll tell you what. We kind of do, but I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news the last couple hours. I'm going to guess the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you right now, with the stupidities coming out of the Obama administration right now, as much as I tell people, Wichita, Kansas is not a great vacation spot. It's right now a whole hell of a lot better than about 90% of the rest of the world for an American to go to.
Oh yes. But I'm not sure exactly what you're actually. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, though.
Okay, so the Obama administration just came out a couple hours ago and admitted that, in fact, that $400 million payment to Iran was...
we lead it off the news with that today. You know what? And they said, but it was a negotiation. Negotiation, my ass. I'm sorry. Negotiation.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know what?
It's a ransom payment. Period.
It is absolutely.
And that's how the rest of the world is going to look at it. And I tell you what, people talk about how horrible Trump is. I hope Trump becomes more vicious and more nasty and more mean in his rhetoric nowadays, because that's what the rest of the world needs. They need to know that we are someday going to have a president who is not spineless like Obama, someone who will actually stand up, and when Benghazi people are being attacked, is going to go in and destroy everybody within a 10-block vicinity, so that they understand that this is the United States of America. This is what we used to be and not what we are now.
Well, the scary part about this, Sean, is I guess it sets a price value that an American life is worth no less than $100 million, right?
$100 million. Yep. But you know what? Here's the funny thing is, people talk about, Trump, and poor brown people now are all scared, if I'm a Muslim or if I even look like a Muslim, even if I'm just a Hindu or a Buddhist or, as long as I got kind of sort of brown, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean looking skin, everyone's going to come walk up to the back of me and shoot me in the back of the head because of Trump and on and on and on. These people that were released from Iran were all Iranian, I don't know if they were Iranian descent, but they were all, you look at their names, they all had some sort of like Iranian, Armenian, I don't know what they were, some sort of Middle Eastern type descent. These were not white people that the brown people came and stole and we gave $100 million a piece to. These were brown people. These were the people that everyone says Trump hates. Yeah. And now, if you are from a Middle Eastern country and you want to go home and go visit your family, good luck not getting taken as a hostage.
And you know what? And they do that all the time. I mean, the people that actually immigrate here and they're living here legally, and they go home to visit, they get hung up in there. I know of a guy that I've known for many, many years, and he was a good friend of mine, and he actually went to Iran to visit his family that was there, and he was actually looking for a girl to marry and bring back. And they kept him there for 9 months back there, before he was able to get back to the United States. I mean, that's stupid. The truth is if you're so stupid that you're going to go back there, you deserve to be staying there.
Yeah, you got to know what you're walking into. Here's kind of a funny story to bring a little bit of levity to this really horrific situation that the Obama administration has put us in. But back when I was in Desert Storm, now we're talking 1991, right? It was a scary situation that we went into. Matter of fact, I was out flying just a local. We do these local flights. We go and refuel, do a little navigation pattern to practice our navigation skills. This was back before GPS and everything was on our planes, and we used to still navigate with a sextant and all that. I know it sounds
were you in the Air Force?
Yeah, I was in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're out flying a mission, and this was back during this is before the wall fell. This is when the Cold War was still active, when we still had alert. And so when we were flying a mission, we didn't end our training missions for anything unless it was severe. Like if they tell you, hey, you need to land right now, it means something really bad has happened. Maybe a family member has died of one of the crew members, or something in the world has gone wrong or whatever. So we're flying. All of a sudden they tell us, hey guys, next approach, come in, full stop, and come to the squadron. We need to talk to you. Okay, we're all four of us looking at each other like, oh, this is not good, because we're ramping up to go. We know we're all be getting deployed eventually over to the Middle East for what's going on with Saddam Hussein invading Kuwait. So they sit us down, they give us a big briefing saying you guys are all being deployed, and they told us, they said, our estimates right now are we are going to lose, the plane I flew, the KC-135, is called a tanker. Mm-hmm. We carry a tank full of gas, and they said we expect to lose 40% of our tanker force during this conflict.
Jesus,
and all the
40%?
40%. That was the estimate. And we're looking at each other like, okay, 2 out of every 5 guys sitting in this room is not coming home, is what you're telling us right now. Like, this is not what we want to hear before we got to go. But, hey, I guess they're trying to be realistic. And of course, it didn't end up that way. It ended up, we totally annihilated them. He was totally not prepared. What happened was,
well, stop for a second. When you're is that normal? Is that standard operating procedure that when you're going to be deployed, they actually tell you what they expect the survival rate to be?
Yeah, I think that's a common thing. They didn't tell us, like, when I was deployed here most recently, like, for the, enduring freedom and then, Iraqi freedom,
mm-hmm.
When we were going after Saddam Hussein. I think because they already knew that really we weren't going to lose that many people. It was going to be a one-off, one here, one there. But the tankers, we've just discovered that, they're pretty hard to get at, actually, amazingly enough. Even though we're just a big fat airplane flying around loaded with gas, we try to stay out of harm's way, and it's actually a harder plane to catch than you would imagine, because as big airplanes go, it's pretty fast. But anyway,
it's a jet airplane, and it's at a high altitude, right?
It's at a high altitude, and we can fly, a point. I've actually gone I think I've gone the fastest and the pilot was because the pilot wasn't paying attention, but we actually got up to 0.97 Mach in that airplane one time. But
now, Sean, the KC-135 isn't that a modified DC-10?
It's more like a Boeing 707. It's almost exactly the same as the 707.
Oh, okay.
So it's a big airplane. It's got 2 engines on each wing. It's got the refueling boom hanging off the back. Mm-hmm. And they told this was a very uncertain war. Saddam Hussein basically took, and here's kind of key to the story here. Saddam Hussein took every male who was within a certain age range eligible to go out and carry a gun or do something and fight somehow, and enlisted all of them. Because he took every man that he could and said, you're now in the military. And so he had, at the time when that war started, he had the 4th largest military in the world, which is why we thought, okay, this is going to be a bloodbath. This is not going to be a fun war to fight. But the problem was most of the people that he recruited didn't want to be in this war, and so they fought really half-heartedly, and they were unprepared, and on and on. And they were other than his what they call the Royal Guard or something like that, which was his kind of elite military. They were tough. They were hard fighters, but the rest, the other 80% really weren't all that engaged. In fact, they used to brief us. I'll tell you a couple of good stories, and then I'll do the one I was going to tell. I'll tell that one in a second. Mm-hmm. But so they would give us all these intel briefings before we go fly, and some of those stories were kind of funny. And there was a recon crew, an Army recon crew, out in a Humvee, and they're driving out somewhere in Iraq, and they get stuck. They get bogged down in this big mud hole, right? And they can't get out. They're stuck. And sure enough, here comes an Iraqi tank. A lone Iraqi tank pulls up as close as it can get to them without itself. Got a turret pointed straight at this Humvee, and these guys are thinking, we're dead. Game over. This is the end of the war for us. And the top opens. Dude with a gun comes out. Got his gun pointed towards the guy. He's got a rope. He ties a rope to the front of the tank, throws it out to the Humvee, and gets back in the tank. And these guys are looking at each other like, what's going on here? So one of the dudes gets out in the mud, and he ties the rope onto the Humvee, and the tank backs up and pulls the Humvee out of the mud. And now that the Humvee is operational, not stuck, the dudes get out of the tank and with a white flag, and they surrender to the Americans.
You're joking.
No, it's a true story. This is the kind of stories, we heard stories like this over and over again, because these guys just didn't want to fight. They were starving. They had lice. They didn't have places to sleep. They were literally, they lived in horrible conditions during this war. So most of them didn't want to fight this fight. They weren't fans of Saddam Hussein as it was. They were forced into this. And so most of them didn't want to fight. And so that's one funny story, but this one here is kind of cute. So American forces captured a big brigade of Iraqi foot soldiers. And one of the guys, the Iraqi guy, looks totally Iraqi, got his uniform on, but under his uniform, he takes his top off, and he's wearing I think it was a Brooklyn Dodgers t-shirt that he's wearing underneath it, right? And he's walking up to the guys. He's like, hey, where you guys been? I've been waiting like weeks for you guys to show up. What's taking you so long? And he was full on New York accent. The guy was from New York, was visiting home. Saddam Hussein said, you're in the right age. You're now in my military. And the guy was born and raised but because he was of Iraqi descent, he was forced to be in the Iraqi military. And so, stuff like that happens in other countries. It doesn't happen here in the United States. People talk about how horrible this country is and how we treat people. Well, it's nothing compared to these countries. And so, that's just a funny story. This guy from New York, he's wholly an American citizen, but was forced to fight. And so, now we've got this situation where basically the Obama administration has broadcast to the world, hey guys, American, no matter what color their skin is, $100,000, period.
No, $100 million.
I'm sorry, $100 million. $100 million, that's what I meant to say. $100 million is what an American is worth. I'm like, can you just give me the money and I promise not to get captured ever? I'll take it. I'll figure out something good to do with it.
I'll never leave my home, I promise.
Yeah, I'll stay in California for the rest of my life.
On the other hand, I might burn up from the fire that's out here. So
it's true.
Yeah, it's interesting when you started talking about. You sent me an email the other day, and it was Trump's replacement for Obamacare, and I went through that whole thing, and I'm only bringing it up now because it kind of lends itself with the ridiculousness of paying $400 million and paying ransom that sets a precedent for us paying ransom. And now we're sitting here, we think about the 11 or 13 million people that didn't have health insurance before, but now nobody can afford it because they can't afford the co-pays, they can't afford the premiums, they can't afford any of those things, and they're not even getting good medical care. You sent me this outline of what Trump's replacement for abolishing Obamacare, but not just getting rid of it, but replacing it. And you're replacing it with what looked to me to be a fantastic system. It made all the sense in the world. It created competition. It created an automatic economical way of holding medical costs down. It got rid of some of the litigation that goes on that creates these higher prices. It was going to require companies to be competitive when it came to drugs and all the rest of these things. That was a fantastic program. I don't know where he got it, if he stole it or he copied it from somebody, but boy, that is the program that we should have.
Yeah, and it's a great program, and that's, we really need something like that. Like you said, it tears down the walls of I guess monopoly, healthcare monopolies where, you've got, here in Kansas, we've got Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas. You got Blue Cross Blue Shield of each other states. What's the big one out there in California that's seems like half the people I know have
Kaiser?
Kaiser, yeah, Kaiser Permanente, yeah. Kaiser is really big in Cal. I can't get Kaiser out here in Kansas. I'm not saying I want Kaiser. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the point is, that's what Trump's kind of saying is, look, why should we limit healthcare insurance to state lines? What is the deal with that? I can get car insurance from anywhere, and I can go. USAA is a perfect example. They kind of opened up their rules a little bit more, but it used to be primarily for the military people. But they're just in Texas. That's it. They have one office. It's huge, but it's in Texas, and you can be all over the nation and have their insurance. And it doesn't matter if I've got Geico. I've got Geico personally right now. I've never been to a Geico office. I don't even know if they even exist. I think it's an online thing only. I don't know, but they're probably not all over the country. So if I can get car insurance from anywhere in the country, why can't I get healthcare insurance from anywhere in the country?
Absolutely. Doesn't that just make sense, Sean? I mean, why prohibit companies from why create a restraint of trade against other companies? You know what? If they're good for California or they're good for Texas or they're good for New Jersey, why aren't they good for every state? And you know what? You guys want to compete? Let's level the field. Competition is good. It holds prices down. Yeah. It gets rid of these what do you call them? The windfall profits. That holds things at a level that people can understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's competition. We know without a doubt always drives prices down, always. And so it's good to have competition, healthy competition. Without all the regulation. And that's another part of it too. Is he's saying, look, we need price transparency. If I need to go get something done, let's say something that even is an elective surgery, let's say I want to go in and get my, let's just say I want to get my tonsils removed. That's not really an elective surgery, but let's just say I want to get my tonsils removed or my kid's tonsils removed. Well, I should be able to go in and the doctor says, barring any massive complications, let's say he starts bleeding out, we've got to bring in a team, whatever. But, if everything goes according to plan, it's going to cost this much money.
Yeah.
And they know. It's not like, every human being is built differently. A tonsil is a tonsil is a tonsil. They're all in the back of your throat. Yeah. They all look pretty much the same. It takes the exact same cutting procedure to get it out. Why are we not able to know the prices of what we're being?
I've got what's probably a bad analogy for that, but it kind of goes along the same terms. As you know, I recently had a couple of molars removed, and I was contemplating having my wisdom teeth removed, all four of them. Well, I was pricing it out because I don't have dental insurance. I've got health insurance, but I don't have dental insurance. So I went to one firm that was not too far from my house. I walked in the door. It was like they didn't really want to even talk to me. And right off the top, they said, "Well, it starts at $4,000 to have your wisdom teeth." I said, "Wow, that's big." And so then I went not more than 1 mile from there to another dental office, a group, and I walked in and I told them the exact same thing, what was going on, and they said generally it's about $1,700 to have your all 4 wisdom teeth removed, and we can give you a 10% discount.
Yeah.
You know, that's transparency. If you can do that on the medical side, then that's going to pull prices down. That's going to make people competitive, because who the hell is going to pay $4,000 when they could pay $1,700?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the way it should be. It should be like that, whether you're getting a knee replacement or whether you're getting, obviously an emergency procedure, you hit by a truck and then you need to go repair it because your spleen just burst. Okay, that's different, No one's going to go, hey, I'm bleeding to death. Can we negotiate the price here? No, you got to fix it. But outside of emergency medicine, there needs to be transparency. If I'm going in for any type of procedure, I should be able to know, what is this going to cost me?
Absolutely.
Roughly, barring any type of, major complication or something. And for some reason, that is something that you cannot get from the vast majority of your medical providers.
But it's wrong, isn't it? Isn't it wrong?
It is wrong.
And the fact that you actually reward physicians for holding prices up, for not having transparency, for prescribing things that are overly expensive instead of the generics that may or may not be available. There's something wrong with that system. Doctors are making plenty of money. They don't have to do that. They make plenty of money just practicing medicine without getting these rebates from drug companies.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So listen, we've got 30 seconds before we have to take a commercial break. What are we going to talk about when we come back? Continue this line of conversation?
Well, you sent me some emails. We can talk about some of them if you want to. Let's talk about we can talk about these, but we can also talk about what I had talked about on Tuesday was, basically, kind of like we always talk about the physician's bedside manner. Well, we need to talk about the patient's bedside manner, really how your attitude and the way you treat your physician is going to have a huge impact on how you receive care. And I think that'd be a fun thing to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about that. But just before we talk about that, I sent you something also today about the people who are donating their bodies to medical science. I want to leave it right there because I want to just set the premise up when we come back and get your thoughts on it, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, that was a good article. I'd love to talk about that one.
Okay, we'll be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. There's no oncoming traffic. I feel safe. I want you to know that at 4 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 100. But if you're listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in Lisbon, Portugal, well, it's 66 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Hong Kong, well, 73 degrees and it's mostly cloudy and pretty humid. But I'll tell you where there's no clouds raising above my good buddy Sean LaFave in Wichita, Kansas. Hey, Sean, just before we went on our break, I wanted to mention, or I did mention that I wanted to talk to you about an email that I had sent you, and it was about people that are currently having a tough time. You pass away, and the cost of funerals and embalming and all this stuff has become just exorbitant. People can't even afford to get themselves buried anymore, and there's a huge influx of people donating their bodies to science and their cadavers to medical schools. And I wanted to, without me saying any more, because I don't want to give a positive or a negative to it, I'd like to get your input as to what you think about that happening. I think there's a bright side to it, but go ahead. Let me get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I actually, my first thought when I read that, of course, that, one of the reasons for the big influx, and I mean, it's significantly more people donating their bodies to science over the last, 10, 15 years, is because of the cost of funerals. People just can't afford to pay for funerals, or they know their loved ones can't afford it, so they donate their bodies to science. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And my first thought when I read it was, gosh, that's so sad, that we've got so many people that that can't afford this, that they're almost forced to do this. But like you said, there's an upside to it. One is, it's just your body. You're done with it. As the one woman said about her husband, that was a professor, and she said this was kind of his last way of providing some education and teaching, was to donate his body. And she said it's kind of weird, the thought of someone taking someone that you loved and cutting them up into pieces, and that really is kind of a almost disturbing thought. But the fact of the matter is that the person that was in there is no longer in that body, and it's just a physical shell that now we can actually take from it and learn from it and maybe make some advances that otherwise wouldn't have been made because these bodies weren't made available. So I think there's a big upside to it. And the thing that I thought was cool is when they're done with the cadavers, they actually cremate them and then save the ashes and give the ashes to the family at no charge. And I thought that part was pretty cool. So really, for people who can't afford it, and that's the sad reality. It's a fact. There are people who just can't afford to pay for a full funeral, and even a cremation is going to be expensive. You can donate your body to science. They'll use it, and when they're done with it, they'll cremate it for you, and then your family can have the ashes to keep, to bury or to spread out in the wilderness or over the ocean or whatever you want to do with it. So, I think that it overall is kind of a win-win.
I think you're absolutely right. If it's the last thing that you do with your life is to try and do something that benefits mankind, I don't see the harm in that, especially if your family ultimately winds up getting something back as some kind of a memory that they can get the closure on. But can you imagine donating your body to science? Maybe somebody gets to see again. Maybe somebody gets a liver or a kidney or a heart, or maybe it's a medical student that learns something in medical school about surgery that they didn't know before, or perhaps it's some studies that are done with the effects of different things. I just can't hardly imagine the limits of what that can actually accomplish. Is that really perhaps the greatest benefit to society that any human being could actually give?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That is your last contribution to society, is something that's very positive, possibly saving another person's life or giving sight to someone, or giving them their life back at some level. And so, yeah, I think I've always said, I can remember, as long as I can remember thinking back when I was asked the question, at least 25 more years, do you want to be an organ donor? My thought was always, yeah, of course I do. I can't, I have no use for them once I'm done with this body. It's, and to me, I was, wasn't, I know for some people, there's some religious objections to it. And I think that a lot of that, the article, of course, talks about that too. And I think a lot of people have gotten past that, and they realize, that having this big ceremonial, big ceremony, ceremonious burial. So having this big burial with this big ceremony and all that really is not the end all be all. It's, that you can have a proper farewell without having this big funeral where they have a casket lowered in the ground. That's just, I'm sure it's nice for some people, but it's not something that I've ever wanted for myself personally. So, why not donate what's left over? I'm done using it. Give it to someone else can use my heart or my eyes or whatever. Gosh, in fact, there was a movie about that, and I can't remember who it was that starred in it, and I think it was called Seven, if I remember correctly. And this guy had some sort of a terminal illness, and I don't remember what it was, but it didn't affect the rest of his organs in his body, and he kind of went and lived sort of a great life, or, did what he wanted to do. And then at the end of the movie, he had basically, a friend of his was an attorney, and he had prepared everything, and he had gone through and he had met all of these people that needed certain things, whether it was a kidney or a heart or eyes or whatever. And he had personally met them and willed his body parts to these people. And at the end of the movie, what he did was he took, I can't remember, some sort of deadly jellyfish that he somehow captured and stuck it in the bathtub with himself, and then called his buddy and said, "This is happening. You need to get the paramedics over here." And, so I guess this jellyfish was able to kill him without destroying his organs. That was his last great contribution. It's actually a very interesting movie because it really touched on a lot of those aspects of, how mankind treats one another and how we give back, and how our last, ditch effort in this world could be something good, even though.
Absolutely. And it opens up another dialogue too, Sean, and that, last week or the week before that, we were talking about this physician-assisted suicide being legal in a number of different, I think 4 or 5 states or something like that now. And
California being one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to, we didn't talk about it, but one of the things that probably should happen when somebody has a terminal illness, that doesn't mean that their heart is not working. It doesn't mean their eyes are not working, or their livers or their kidneys or any things like that. And if you're going to do that, what a great time to say, what, we need to have a whole team available so that when I do take my last breath, somebody in society, some human being is going to benefit by this.
Yep. Yeah. When I'm done, if there's a better way to do it, then I don't know if the medication would harm the organs, but if there's a better way, if they don't, great, then have it seen ready to start cutting pieces out, and then give them to someone who needs them. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, that sounds ghoulish, but it's really not if you think about it. And there's so many things that we have to be, for the lack of a better term, either religiously correct or politically correct or whatever the term they want to use is. There's a lot of that is just too much BS, right? And the thing is that shouldn't we really care about one another enough that if I can make you see again, shouldn't I be able to do that? If I can make your heart beat again, shouldn't I be able to do that? You know, if I can make your kidneys good and you don't have to have dialysis anymore, shouldn't I do that? I mean, if you're a religious person, isn't that what your religious basis would want you to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think, but I'm sure there's a lot of, people who use religion as an excuse, not because they don't want to desecrate the body. And like it was interesting. I was watching a show. What was this about? Anyway, this guy was he was a French priest. It was on 60 Minutes. That's what it was. And he was a French priest, and he had dedicated his life to going around and finding lost burial sites around Europe where they had these mass graves.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that when they were where they would execute the Jews and bury them. And of course, one of the things that they said was they could excavate, these dig sites, but they had to be careful because once they got to the bodies, they had to stop because, according to Jewish tradition, once the body has been buried, it's you're not allowed to move it anymore. And so even though these people had been buried in a horrific sort of way, and as he said, you could tell some of them, had been buried alive because of the way, maybe they were trying to scream or something. And they even said that, the graves were shallow and people could see the ground moving for a couple days afterwards. And it's just a horrific thought to even think about. But yeah, it's according to some religions, I'm sure it's probably, against their religious beliefs. And if that's the case, I guess, I can't fault, someone for that. But I would hope that, your religious beliefs would include, being able to take a body that you no longer have a need for and using it to save someone else's life. I think that would be very altruistic, and I think something that I would hope would be pleasing to whoever your God is.
Oh yeah, and taking just a little bit farther, because it seems to me, we have a limited supply of medical schools and learning hospitals and things like that, and it seems to me that we probably have a lesser need for those cadavers than we do the amount that could be made available. But certainly, with regard to organ transplant, there could be an awful lot more of that done than what's being done today.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. There seems to be a very long list of people who are waiting for organs. Anytime you talk to someone who needs a kidney or a liver or a heart or whatever the case may be, they seem to always be on a list. We seem to have a lot of people dying in this country.
Yeah.
You'd think there would be more body parts available, but if someone doesn't check off a box, organ donor, then they just can't take that organ from that person, and everyone's tough out of luck.
Isn't that a shame, though? Thousands upon thousands of people die every day, and yet those perfectly good organs are laid to waste. Causes. I'm sorry?
Yeah. I said dying not of natural causes,
right.
Something like car accidents or slip and falls or weird things.
Yeah. What happens to, gosh, this is going to sound morbid, but the people that are in prisons that are executed, their families don't usually claim the bodies. The state usually winds up burying them. Does the state own them if the state has incarcerated them? Can the state donate their organs or what happens? Any idea?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they still have the right to say, I want to be, donate my organs or my body to science or not. I don't know if they have that right. I'm not sure. That's an interesting, it depends on how they execute them too. I know that, there's lethal injection and they, I don't know if they still do electrocution. I imagine electrocution would mess up a lot of body parts.
Yeah. Well, and lethal injection, I would think would too.
Yeah, that's a lot of poison you put in a person's body. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
But if you're going to be executed, this sounds horrible. But if you're going to be executed and you're going to donate your heart and your liver and your lungs and your kidneys and your eyes and God knows what else, then why not just submit yourself to surgery for that execution? Have it as an option. They put you to sleep. They stop your heart. And they pull it immediately. All the body parts, you gain time because it's happening instantly.
Yeah, that's true. Now, why not? Exactly. It's painless. Yeah. You have an IV hooked up. They put you to sleep. obviously it's not going to damage anything because they do it to people and then wake them back up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, if you have open heart surgery, they stop your heart and put you on a heart lung machine. They stop everything and do it all artificially. The only thing is just don't restart it up again.
Yeah, just turn the perfusion machine off and call it a day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Take all the body parts out while they're still warm and fresh.
Yeah.
I know it
does sound horrible, doesn't it? It does sound horrible, but I mean, what kind of, it just seems that the other way around is such a waste. And if
give that person an option to do one last good thing for the world before, because I bet you there are people on death row who'd be like, yeah, my hearts can, I'm sure there are people on death row who would be willing to give their body parts up for to save another person's life.
I've seen a lot of these documentaries where these people that are on death row, they find religion, they find God, they find Christ, they find whatever is going on in their lives, and they have resolved their minds to the fact that they are going to be executed. They know that's going to happen, but I'll bet you that they aren't presented with those kinds of options. I can't imagine that they're being presented with options that they would find more than acceptable.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good question. I'll have to, on the break, when we go on our next break, I'll look that up and I'll see if I can find an answer to that.
Okay. We got 4 minutes. So, it's just interesting. Let's take 4 minutes, and because you had made a comment, and I want to address it. I want to get off this morbid subject for now anyway. I hadn't intended for it to go all that long. It was kind of bugging me a little bit. You had made a comment about a doctor's bedside manner and how doctors treat patients and that kind of stuff. But you wanted to talk a little bit, and I thought it was really a valid thing to address, about the other side of this, the antithesis part of this. Well, what about the patient's bedside manner? What about the patient, how they treat the doctor? You want to address that a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny. I think there's probably a lot of people out there who would love to write a book, and I'd love to write a book someday too. But this is actually a topic that I think I would actually truly enjoy writing a book about. And I don't know if people would buy it or not. I think you'd have to come at some sort of angle that it makes it a benefit for the person to actually buy this book and read it, but so without having it basically be saying, look, you're a jerk, stop being a jerk, kind of book. But I think you and I could probably swap stories, and your experiences with your practice in accounting are going to be very similar to the experiences I've had in healthcare. I would imagine, the principles are going to be the same. And some of the things that, for those listening, that will drive your healthcare practitioner absolutely crazy, that people do on a regular basis, that you really don't even, that maybe you think you're doing a good thing, but one of the ones that and I don't know if this is a natural healthcare thing or if people in the medical world do this or in the accounting world or with attorneys or what, but you'll be talking to someone, you sit down and you come up with this whole plan, and you spend a lot of time, and okay, here's how we're going to get your health back, and then like the next visit they go, I took everything and I showed it to my other 3 doctors that I'm talking to, or I said it to my acupuncturist and my parasite specialist, and they have these questions, and I'm like, what? Like, you're seeing, and I think that so you probably have so similar to this. That's so frustrating as a healthcare provider to go, okay, you need to really kind of like pick what you want to do. Do you want to follow? Because I had a gal that's, perfect example. This gal, wonderful lady, but she came to me actually. I talked about parasite because that was the one that was on my brain as I was talking about it. Mm-hmm. But she needed to detox for parasites. She had a bad case of parasites. And she also had cancer. And she said, I talked to someone who said you could help me because my parasite specialist couldn't get rid of my parasites, and I was told that you could help me with this. And I said, well, I can, but it's weird because I don't usually promote that, but yeah, sure, I can help you with that. And so I put her on this protocol, this whole thing, and she started just detoxing really fast. She started feeling horrible. And I said, some people respond a little bit quicker, but this is pretty, she said. So then she started telling me about all the other stuff that she was taking, from her other doctor, from her other naturopath. She's taking this, all these different, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're like basically taking my protocol and then you're dropping it on top of some other person's protocol that you didn't even tell me about.
Yeah.
And, so when you go, and I can imagine in the accounting world, you probably get similar things where they go, well, my other accountant or my bookkeeper or, my friend, whatever. I think the take home here is if you're going to seek help from someone, find someone you trust and do that person's thing. And if it's working, stick with it. If it's not, go find someone else. But don't try to don't try to play two people. Don't be a healthcare player. Don't be playing in the field, because you're really going to do more harm than good. It's like people who go out to one doctor and try to get a prescription, and go to another doctor for another prescription, and nobody knows who's talking to who.
Yeah.
That's why we come out with this computer system now for the medical world. It kind of tracks everybody's prescriptions so that they don't accidentally get two of the same thing or drugs that interact poorly with each other.
Okay, hold that thought, because we're 41 seconds over on our commercial break. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come right back to our own Sean LaFave in Geared for Wellness Corner, and your good bedside manner. We'll talk all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Dental Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. God, it's still 98 degrees. It's not moving. It was 100 degrees on its way to 66. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Sydney, Australia, well, it's 61 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Auckland, New Zealand, that's where Sean would like to be. It's 55 degrees and it's also clear. I want to remind you that coming up soon, we're going to be doing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. The story today is going to be Little Book Lost. You're not going to want to miss that. But right now, we're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared to Wellness Corner. Sean, we were talking about good bedside manner and the fact that they're and you're right. It's not exactly the same when you're in the medical industry as opposed to the accounting industry. But a lot of times, you'll get questions that somebody will say, well, gee, why didn't my other accountant ask me that question? And you're going to say, I don't know. You're going to have to ask him. Or,
Why do you have two accountants?
you're going to have to ask him, what are you doing in here? Or you get somebody that comes in and says, well, look, I need you to do this and this and this and this. And then, and you'll say, well, gee, if you already know what you need, what do you need me for? Yeah.
That's actually the next thing I was going to bring up. Don't be a player was the first. And the second one is don't tell me what I need to do to fix you. If you know how to fix you, why are you coming to me? Exactly. And it's actually, not only is it annoying because now, you basically tell me that you know my job better than I do, but the problem there is,
it's insulting.
It's insulting. But the problem for you as a consumer, as the client, patient, whatever you want to call it, is you directed me down a path that may be the wrong path because you haven't given me the chance. I can tell you my own father. This happened to him. He went into the doctor's office with lower right abdominal pain. Now, anytime a doctor hears lower right abdominal pain, they should always consider appendix, an appendix problem. Mm-hmm. But he went in. He told the doctor what was wrong with him. He says, I was out in the yard. I was trimming trees. I was moving stuff around, and I pulled a muscle. He just went in and told the guy what he did, what was wrong with him, and what he needed to treat it, okay? And the doctor did exactly what my dad wanted. Yeah. And this is not my dad, Art, that wanted that. This is actually Art's my stepdad. But anyway, this is my biological father. And 3 days later, he was in the emergency room with a burst appendix. Oh. And so now he was in bed rest for weeks after that, and it ate holes in his large intestine, and on and on and on. Because he knew what was wrong with him. Well, don't always go in assuming that you know the problem. Whether it's, if you need to go see an accountant, probably you put yourself in a position that you need to shut up and listen to the accountant. And the same thing, if you put yourself in a position where you need to go see a physician, shut your mouth for a while, listen to what the physician says. If the physician seems totally wrong, maybe you can go, well, I was thinking maybe, that's okay. Yeah. But to go in and already give the doctor or the professional that you're seeing, no matter what kind of, attorney, accountant, physician, whatever the case might be, a preconceived notion of what's wrong with you and how to fix your problem.
Well, it's interesting you do that because I recently had hurt my back and I wasn't sure what was going on, and because I'm pretty active when it comes to exercising, and I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I thought it was not getting better, it's getting worse. So I went and saw my doctor, and the doctor says, well, Bob, what seems to be the problem? And I said, well, let me tell you, I don't know what the problem is, which is why I'm here, but I can tell you that I'm scared to death. I don't know if I've hurt my hip bone, if I've got a pulled muscle, if I've got a pinched nerve, or I don't know what the heck is wrong. But all I can tell you is the pain's not going away. And so, okay, let's find out what's going on. Well, it turned out to be something that was, quite easy to take care of. A shot in the ass and taking it easy solved the whole problem. Years ago, when I was a teenager, I remember going to this Dr. Diaz, that was his name, and he'd walk in the office and says, well, Bob, what's wrong with you? And I said, well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be here, would I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you knew the answer to that question, I really wouldn't need you. Yeah. I wouldn't be paying you. I wouldn't be paying you to tell me what I already know.
Yeah.
Yep. I hear these stories, from other physicians, and it's so funny. I've got, here's a great one. I've got, this buddy of mine that's, is a chiropractor out in, Huntington Beach. And just a great guy. He offers a great service, and he's not expensive. He's one of these guys that just believes, I'm going to keep my prices low and just do a lot of volume. And he does a great job. He's a good guy with a good heart, and he's just not one of these ones that believes you need to charge, the highest possible price you can get, and keep your volume low and and drive, the best car. He's just a good old boy,
Mm-hmm.
And, but he's always telling me all these stories. And, he's got this guy that, he'd been taking care of. And here's another, that's kind of my third, this is the third chapter of the book, is always pay full price. Don't ask for a discount. There's nothing worse than telling somebody how much your stuff goes, and they go, "Gosh, well, the other guy down the street." I'm like, "Well, go down the street then." I don't care if somebody.
I've got the greatest story for you. I've had, in my practice, when it came to doing taxes, we specialized in taxes, in business contracts, stuff like that. And we get all done, and I'd give them the price, and they'll say, "Oh, gee, well, can't you make it any cheaper?" I said, "Yeah, sure I can. Which one of these forms don't you want?"
Yeah, exactly. I can get a lot cheaper. Which part of your tax return do you not want filed?
Yeah, don't I need them all? Yeah, you do. But if you want it to be less money, I got to get rid of some of those forms. Well, no, I don't. Yeah. I'm talking about giving me a discount. I said, I'll give you a discount. Which form don't you want? Well, I want them all. I said, then you're going to pay the price.
And you got to pay for all of them. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing, when I was going through my divorce, I had a great attorney. He's one of the best attorneys here in Wichita. He's just an amazing guy. And he really
Wait a minute. Does that mean that all this time you're back to the scene of the crime?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was for sure. And he and I have a mutual friend, a guy named Duke. And Duke was also a client. Duke's built a lot of big businesses, and my attorney was a corporate attorney. He built his reputation really as a corporate trial lawyer, so he did a lot of court cases, and he was just known for, and I watched him in my own case on the court floor, and he is like the Michael Jordan of attorneys. You just watch him and you're like, this guy controls the entire room. He controls everybody, including the other attorney in the room. It was amazing to watch him. But we have a mutual friend, this guy Duke, and he says, Sean, he goes, you know who my favorite client is? And I said, no, who's that? He goes, it's Duke. And he says, you know why? I go, because he's your best friend. He goes, no. He goes, because he pays me every single time on time. Whenever I send him a bill, he immediately pays it. and you know what? And as you know, the truth is, when you have someone who pays full price. In fact, there's a book out there called Predictably Irrational, and one of the things that it talks about is they did a study. This was an actual study that was done. They took these people who had headaches, and they gave them an aspirin or something like that to take, and they said the aspirin costs $1. And then the other part of the control group, they gave the exact same aspirin, but the aspirin only cost 10 cents. And hands down, the people who paid $1 for the aspirin gained significantly more pain relief than the people who paid 10 cents, because there's that mental belief that you get what you pay for. Yep. And I can tell you the best patients, the best clients, whatever you want to call them, are the ones that pay full price. Obviously, I'm happy to help them because they help me pay my bills. Yeah. But for some reason, and I don't know why this is, as a person who is a care provider who helps people, I just have a natural inclination to want to help people, even if I'm not getting paid for it. And so, every now and then I'll go, well, I'll take care of you. We won't charge you for this, won't charge you for that. Give you a whole bunch of free stuff. Those turn out, and I bet it's the same way in the accounting world. They turn out every single time to be the worst clients you have ever had. They're demanding. They're not compliant. They don't do what they're supposed to. They ask for more than anyone else asks for, and on and on and on. And it's just, and they get the fewest results. The people who get the best results are the ones who pay full price. I've got another story for you. While I was in practice, and you interview people to find out what their problems are. And know what's going on, and as and especially if you're in the accounting world, you can very quickly determine whether or not somebody is really a stretch, that they really can't afford your services. And you find out from some people that they,
you really can't afford me, but H&R Block can't fix your problem. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to fix your problem for you. There'll be no charge for what I'm going to do for you today. And you know what? And just go out and don't sin again. Just don't do this anymore. And from now on, you should be just fine. So I fixed the problem, right? And the following year, they come back. And I'll say, wait a minute. You don't need me. You can't afford me. And they said, I can't afford not to have you. H&R Block wouldn't have done that work for free. And you already said they couldn't have done it anyway. I'm staying with the guy that was willing to work for free to help me because it was the right thing to do. Well, I can afford that guy.
And they were willing to pay at this point?
Yep.
Okay, and that has happened to me before too.
Yeah, and I've had people that I represented for years and years and years. They paid big prices, and then they would go through some financial difficulty, or they'd go through some emotional problems, family losses, stuff like that. And for 2, 3, 4 years, I'd do their work for nothing. And then they would they'd get back on their feet, and and those are clients. You could be a serial killer; they wouldn't leave you.
Yeah, that's a different one. Yeah, the people who are already, you've got that relationship with, and then you go, you know what, hey, I realize you're going through a tough time, I'm going to take care of you right now. They're usually very grateful because that relationship has already been built. Yeah. But when it's a new person that you don't know, I don't know why it is. It just seems to always work out. They just get horrible results. As a matter of fact, the story I was going to tell my buddy out in Huntington Beach, he's got a friend of his that he's been helping for quite some time. Like, I want to guess it was years. Mm-hmm. And he's one of these guys that's got a good heart, and he'll do whatever he can for anybody. Mm-hmm. And this guy, so he's been taking care of this guy for free. The guy come in, a couple times a month, whatever, and get an adjustment, and do whatever he does there at the office. And and he goes, and all of a sudden, I didn't see him for like 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden he shows up in my office and said, man, I haven't seen you for a few months. Man, you doing okay? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I got in this car accident, about 4 or 5 months ago. So I couldn't come in because I was seeing this chiropractor next to my house. And he goes, why were you seeing this other chiropractor? Why didn't you come see me? He's like, well, it's so far to drive to come see you. This guy was right around the corner and he accepted my insurance. And he goes, I would have accepted your insurance too. He goes, I've been taking care of you for free for all these years, and when it comes time to actually start paying, he goes, you go to someone else? He goes, well, coming as many times as I had to come, it just wasn't worth the drive. And he goes, okay, well, take care. Have a good life. And he goes, I got to get my adjustment. He's like, no, you're not getting adjusted for me anymore. You take care. Yeah. And so, there are times, like you say, where, you've got somebody you've been treating, and I've done that before, and it's worked out well, that they go, you know what, right now I can't commit any more to the money. You go, you know what, and I don't know how it is in the accounting world. I know in the healthcare world, you have to be very careful with that. When you start giving away free services and you get audited, you can actually, if I charge one person, if I charge everybody $50, and that's what I billed insurance was $50, and then one person comes in and I go, you know what, I'll take care of you, don't worry about it, and waive the fee for them, and you get audited, then they're going, all your services are obviously worth nothing, so you lost $250,000. Yeah, you got to be careful. So, I remember one time, and I got to leave you because we're out of time, but I remember they had these 2 women come into my office to get the taxes done, and they were just nervous. They had back-to-back appointments, but they came in together, and they were just really, really nervous. And I said, you know what? There's nothing to be nervous about. And they explained to me this is the first time they've ever had their taxes done. And I said, really? Well, who did your taxes before? And they said, well, we never had to do them before. I said, well, how's that possible? Well, we both took a vow of poverty. We're nuns, and we've just left the convent, and we're teaching, and we got paychecks. It's the first time we've ever done taxes. I says, listen, you've got nothing to worry about. You're totally prepared for this. He says, no, we're not. I says, yes, you are. Just get on your knees and pray. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Anyway, my friend, you have a wonderful weekend. Get some sun, get some barbecue, get some ice cold beer, and get some friends around you and make them happy, will you? I think that nothing could be better. That sounds excellent. You do the same thing, Robert. All right. And what is it that you and I are going to be talking about on Tuesday? I have no idea.
Okay, we'll work it out.
Better answers for it, but I know whatever it is, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It sure will. Hey, stay safe and be good, my friend.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right. Now, the rest of you folks do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be doing the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. Don't go away. We got a lot of good stuff for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. I don't know if the big fire is keeping the heat up or what's going on. Anyway, it was 100 degrees and it's on its way to 66. But if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 64 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 72 degrees and partly cloudy. But right now, let's talk about the Harvard business tip of the day. And the tip today is how freelancers should negotiate new assignments. You know, if you're a freelancer, you know the importance of negotiating a fair rate and relationship for your work. Here's what to keep in mind during your next negotiation with a client. First of all, remember it's agile. You'll be expected to contribute on day one. Therefore, your negotiation should be based on a well-defined, realistic, and well-communicated plan of what you can achieve by, when, and how. And then Do your homework. Take the time to get to know the organization in advance, its business, strategy, values, and relevant news. And bring real organizational insight to the negotiation. Then establish your value. Negotiate from a position of power by making it indisputably clear through your portfolio or client recommendations. For example, that you're at the top of your field and will do a great job. And then finally, know the value of the work to the organization. Smart negotiators know what success will provide the company and what failure will cost. That is what you want to learn to do. Now, let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. You know that I say every day, this is all about a positive mental attitude. You really do control it. You know what? When you get up in the morning and look in the mirror, you actually decide if you're going to be a success or a failure, rich or poor, happy or sad. You decide how the people around you are going to be. You need to look in there and say, man, I'm going to have a fantastic day today. It's going to be profitable. It's going to be productive. It's going to be wonderful. And I'm going to be happy all day. You know what? That's how you start every day off. And I tell you, that positive mental attitude will pay off in spades for you. Now, the secret for today is let go of difficulties from your past, cultural codes and social beliefs. Let them go. You are the only one who can create the life that you deserve. Isn't that what I just said? Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. It's Thursday. It's August the 18th, and it is somebody's birthday. You know what? It is certainly somebody's birthday, and we've got some great ones today, three good ones anyhow. Here's somebody that was born in 1934, died in 1972, was a professional baseball right fielder. He won 12 Gold Glove Awards and led the league in batting average 4 different seasons. Happy birthday, Roberto Clemente. And here's somebody that we all know, or a lot of us know anyway. He was born in 1936, a film director, actor, producer, environmentalist, and founder of the Sundance Film Festival. Happy birthday, Mr. Robert Redford. And then finally, a fellow born in 1957, an actor, comedian, writer, and director. He's known for his often angry comedic style. Happy birthday, Dennis Leary. Well, what do you suppose happened today in history? Well, guess what? I'm about to tell you. You know what? On August the 18th, 1963, American Civil Rights Movement, James Meredith becomes the very first black person to graduate from the University of Mississippi. And in 1969, Jimi Hendrix plays the unofficial last day of Woodstock. And then finally, in 1971, Vietnam War, Australia and New Zealand decide to withdraw their troops from Vietnam. And you know what? The quote for today comes from Mignon McLaughlin. And Mignon says, no one really listens to anyone else. And if you try it for a while, you'll see why. That's actually good. Some of these things, I just wish that I could remember, They're really pretty cool. Now, you know what? Let's talk about some interesting but useless facts. We got a few minutes for that. Here's one, kind of a long one for you. Did you know that chocolate not only does not promote tooth decay, it might prevent it? According to the American Dental Association, milk chocolate contains ingredients such as calcium and phosphate that might modify acid production in the mouth that leads to cavities. Some oils in chocolate might also prevent tooth decay. Chocolate does contain sugar, of course, but these are simple sugars that are less harmful than the complex sugars contained in other foods. Bet you didn't know that. You're going to go right out and get that chocolate bar, aren't you? Yeah, me too. Did you know that the bald eagle was added to the list of endangered species in the United States in 1967, and its numbers have recovered well since then? Matter of fact, my good buddy John Hansen just got back from Alaska, where he was actually witnessing these bald eagles flying overhead. What a magnificent sight that is, and bird that is. They're just, if you've never seen one live, they're just unbelievable. Sends chills up and down your spine. Oh, here's one. The largest dog ever reported in the Guinness Book of World Records was an 8'3", 343-pound English Mastiff named Zorba. I don't know if he was Greek or not, but he was an English dog. Did you know that every day more money is printed for Monopoly than for the United States Treasury? Yeah, for the game. Give that some thought. And some flatfish use camouflage to hide themselves on the ocean floor. Well, okay. I suppose that's true. Not just flatfish. Did you know that a crocodile cannot stick its tongue out of its mouth? But if it gets its teeth on you, look out. Well, here's one for you. India is the leading filmmaking country in the world. Did you know that? More than twice as many films are made in India each year than in France, the third highest film producers in the world. Wow. Can you imagine that? And finally, let me leave you with this. 1/4 of your bones are in your feet. That's 25% of them. There are 26 bones in each foot, meaning that the 52 bones account for 25% of your body's 206 bones. Now, that's something to think about. Well, we had to go on a short break. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Now, you don't want to miss it because today's story is Little Book Lost, and I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Now it's saying that the high did reach 105 degrees. It's on its way to 66. But if you're living in one of our syndicated globally network areas and you happen to be in London, England, well, it's 64 degrees and scattered clouds. Vienna, Austria, 61 degrees and clear. And then Madrid, Spain, 77 degrees and clear. Well, it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey. And the rest of the story, the biggest and best voice in America reveals the startling heartbeats behind the headlines. You know, Paul Harvey is one of America's favorite radio and TV commentators, or was. Heard in over 775 ABC radio stations and over 400 foreign stations. Seen on 110 television stations and read in 300 newspapers. He was the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including 9 honorary degrees. He was on the Gallup polls list of America's most admired men. Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. And here's today's story, Little Book Lost. You know, delicate featured, mild-mannered author Clarence Shepard was dying at a time that his work was coming alive. Aged 60, his career had begun only 15 years before, and they'd been hard years. One book followed the other with lukewarm success. At last, Clarence had hit on something. His next book would surely be a bestseller, and probably his last. That's all I'm going to tell you about him right now, because the slender volume that he submitted from his deathbed carried with it the rest of the story. Clarence's book was lost. The manuscript had been received by the publisher, sent to the printer, but when no proofs were returned, the publisher became anxious. One telephone call explained it all. It seems that the text had arrived at the printers, but it was so thin, unobtrusively wrapped in a brown paper. Somehow, someone had mislaid it, discarded it, and so began a publisher's exhaustive search. If this only copy of the manuscript was gone forever, how could they face the dying author with the news? Lead number 1. Most of the printer's discarded paper was sent to the warehouse in Boston. The searchers sped to the warehouse, confronted with a mountain of scrap paper. They rifled through it, one leaf at a time. The book was not there. Lead number 2, some of the printer's waste was sent to a mill in Connecticut. Perhaps the little text was in that batch. The searchers arrived at the mill. 3 days of scouring proved hopeless. Still, no book. Lead number 3, an apprentice back at the print shop remembered that a small bale of scrap was delivered a few days ago to the Massachusetts mill. That had to be it. So the weary manuscript hunters went there, believing that their job was just about finished. It had only started. The bale had been received, thrown in the hopper. The machinery that spewed paper from this huge dumping bin into an acid tank could not be stopped. Certainly not for a few ounces of paper anyway. The searchers posted themselves at the mouth of the chute in shifts around the clock. Their only hope was to snag Clarence's manuscript as it flew out on its way to oblivion. No one remembers how long the vigil continued. Certainly the fatigue and the growing discouragement of the hunters blurred their sense of time, but it was long enough for them to give in to despair, to abandon their mission. It was all over except to tell Clarence. That's when the last posted search party member turned around quickly, spied a small brown paper package flying from the chute, nearly tumbling into the acid tank himself. He lunged for the little parcel and recovered it. Author Clarence Shepherd was dying at a time that his work was coming alive, but he'd never really meant to be a writer. At first, it was merely a means of passing a long and difficult confinement to his bed. Stricken forever with crippling arthritis in his mid-20s, Clarence would be an invalid for almost 20 years until his first book was published. 15 more years would go by until he was able to print with words the gentle portrait from his past that pleasantly haunted him. That's why the little book Lost was so precious to an author whose quiet memories eased the bitterness of endless illness, to a world that watched those memories come to life in print and on the stage. The little book found that made us smile. Well, that brightened the long night of Clarence Shepherd's day was to run for an unprecedented 3,000 performances on Broadway. Yeah, it was Life with Father. And now you know the rest of the story. Well, don't forget to tune in tomorrow, because the story for tomorrow is going to be, we're going to make you a star. You don't want to miss this story. It's going to be fantastic, phenomenal. Just listen to the show. And if you can't listen to us live, you know what? Get our app. Go to your app store, search Robert Cardoza Live. It's absolutely free. Download it and listen to our show at your own convenience.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.